didn't lose that money in the market. You lost it in your chest, 3 seconds before you touched your phone. That's the truth nobody wants to sell you, because it doesn't come with a course. It doesn't come with a spreadsheet. You want to believe you're one book away from wealthy, one tip away, one stock pick away. So you keep buying the knowledge, and you keep losing the money. And you keep telling yourself it's the market's fault. It was never the market. The market is neutral. It doesn't know your name. It doesn't remember what you bought or why. You are the only variable in this whole equation that panics, that hesitates, that reaches for comfort when the number turns red. Every financial catastrophe you've ever survived started as a feeling first and a transaction second. Machiavelli wrote that a wise prince relies on what is in his own control. He wasn't writing about portfolios. He was writing about you, right now, in this exact moment, deciding whether to keep watching or to close this and go check your balance out of anxiety. That instinct, that itch, that is the only asset in your life the market can never repossess. And you are giving it away for free every single day, to every red candle, every headline, every friend's new car. Here is what we are doing in the next 25 minutes. We are walking through 5 emotions, 5 specific, nameable leaks that have been draining you long before you ever opened a bank app. Fear, envy, impatience, shame, comfort. Each one has a price tag, and each one has a cure. And by the end, you will understand something the wealthy almost never say out loud in public. There is one emotion the rich have learned to fake, not feel, fake. And it might be the single most profitable performance of their entire life. You are not ready to hear what it is yet, but you will be. Stay with me. Phase 1, the psychology of fear. Fear is the first thief, and it dresses up as caution so well that you thank it on the way out the door. You feel the market drop, and your chest tightens before your brain even finishes reading the number. That tightness is not wisdom. That tightness is an ancient alarm built for lions on a savanna, now firing off because a chart moved a color you don't like. And you obey it. You sell. You freeze. You pull your money into cash and call it being smart. And you tell your friends you're just being careful. And none of that changes the fact that fear just made a financial decision using your hands. Picture the sheep and the wolf. The sheep hears one sound in the grass and the whole herd bolts, trampling each other, running from a threat most of them never even saw. The wolf hears the same sound and does not move. The wolf watches. The wolf waits to see what the sound actually is before it decides whether to run or to hunt. You have spent your whole financial life reacting like the herd, flinching at headlines, panic selling at the bottom, hoarding cash under the false name of safety while inflation eats it alive in silence. Being feared and cautious are not the same thing. Machiavelli understood this distinction better than almost anyone who ever lived. It is much safer to be feared than loved, he wrote. And translated into money, that means being the one others need in a deal, not the one begging the market for reassurance. Fear should be a tool you use on others' hesitation. Instead, most people let it become the operating system of their own decisions. Here's what the broke never see. The market does not punish risk. The market punishes panic. Every crash in history has made 2 kinds of people. The ones who sold at the bottom in terror, and the ones who bought at the bottom because they'd already decided, calmly, in advance exactly what they would do when the sound came from the grass. Same event, same red numbers on the same day, two completely different financial lives, and the only difference between them was which one let the sheep in their chest make the call. You cannot think your way out of fear in the moment it happens. Nobody can. The lion and the fox both know this. The lion uses force when it's needed. The fox uses cunning when it's needed. But neither one waits until the moment of danger to decide who they are. They decide in advance. That is the entire secret. You do not fight fear when it arrives. You outplan it before it shows up. You write the rule before the crisis, so that when the crisis comes, there is no decision left to make, only a rule to follow. This is not about being fearless. This is not about having no chest, no chemistry, no ancient alarm bells left in you. This is about refusing to let the alarm hold the pen. And here's the part they never teach you. Every dollar you've ever lost to panic wasn't just that dollar. It was every year that dollar would have compounded after it left your hands. A single afternoon of fear can cost you a decade of growth you will never see, never feel, never even know you were owed. That is the real price of the sheep's instinct. Not the loss in the moment, but the entire silent future that loss erases. Phase 2. The psychology of envy. You saw the watch before you saw the man wearing it. That's how envy works. It skips the person entirely and goes straight for the object. And within seconds, you are not admiring him. You are auditing yourself. Your car, your job title, your apartment. Envy doesn't ask you a question. It hands you a verdict, and the verdict is always the same. Not enough. Here's the part nobody tells you about that watch. It's leased. So is the car in his driveway. So is half of the life he's performing for an audience he's never even met. He is financing an emotion, yours, using debt he will be paying off long after the admiration is faded and you've forgotten his name. You felt small for 4 seconds looking at a possession he doesn't actually own. And that feeling cost you nothing. But it costs him everything. Every single month, for years. Envy is the only emotion in this list that is fully manufactured by other people on purpose. Sold to you in advertisements, in filtered photos, in casual flexes at dinner. Because someone else's entire business model depends on you feeling poor enough to buy something you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't even like. This is not about jealousy being a character flaw. This is not about you being shallow for noticing what other people have. This is about who profits when you notice. Think about the coworker who's been there 20 years, reliable, respected, shows up early, never complains, has the nicest car in the parking lot. Financed, of course, refreshed every 3 years like clockwork. He has status. He has none of the asset underneath it. 20 years of a paycheck converted directly into things that lose value the moment he drives them off the lot. And at the end of it, he owns none of the machine that made someone else rich. He was never poor because he lacked income. He was poor because every time he felt small, he bought something to feel large again. And the feeling never once turned into equity. The wealthy do not spend to be seen. That is the entire inversion you need to understand. Real ownership is quiet. A wise prince, Machiavelli wrote, understands that everyone
sees what you appear to be, but few ever experience what you really are. Translate that into money and it becomes obvious. The people with the least to prove are the ones who've stopped performing wealth and started actually building it, invisibly. while the loudest person in the room finances the appearance of it on borrowed time. Envy will always cost you more than the thing you're envying. It's not a tax on your bank account. It's a tax on your judgment. And it's due immediately, in cash. Every time you let someone else's least life set the price of your own. Phase 3, the psychology of impatience. You want it now. Everyone wants it now. But it gets worse, because impatience doesn't just cost you speed, it costs you the entire mechanism that was supposed to make you rich in the first place. Think about the gambler at the table and the house that owns the building he's sitting in. The gambler feels every hand. His heart rate climbs on a good streak, collapses on a bad one. And he keeps playing because impatience has convinced him the next round is the one that fixes everything. The house feels nothing. The house doesn't need luck. The house has math, repeated over millions of hands, patiently, for decades. And the math always wins. You have been the gambler more times than you'd like to admit, chasing a stock tip, a side hustle with no plan, a shortcut with a stranger's name attached to it. Because waiting felt like losing, and doing something, anything, felt like control. It wasn't control. It was the fastest way to hand your money to someone more patient than you. Compounding is boring. That is the whole trap. It looks like nothing is happening for years, and then it looks like everything happened at once. The wealthy understand this in their bones, and it's the least glamorous secret in the entire game. The money that makes you free is not the money you made fast. It's the money you refused to touch. You cannot save your way to freedom by chasing shortcuts. You cannot invest your way to freedom by gambling on speed. You cannot hustle your way to freedom by skipping the slow years. There is only one door, and it is marked patience. And almost nobody wants to walk through a door with that word written on it. Seneca said it plainest of anyone. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Impatience is craving wearing a business suit. It tells you the plan is too slow, the return is too small, the weight is beneath you. And then it puts you in exactly the position the patient investor was hoping someone impatient would be in. Every bubble in history was inflated by people who couldn't wait, and popped onto the people who bought last because waiting felt like missing out. Read this twice. The fastest path to poor is the desperate need to get rich immediately. Now, here's where I need something from you before we go further, because the next two phases get heavier, and I only want to spend that time on people who are actually done being owned by their own impulses. If you've made it this far, and something in the last few minutes landed, comment, "I own my reactions, right now, not later, now, while it's still fresh, before your own impatience talks you out of it." And if this is already reframing how you see your last financial decision, subscribe, because phase 4 is the one most people skip past in their own heads, and it's the one costing them the most. Phase 4, the psychology of shame. And this is where most people bleed out, not in the mistake itself, but in what they do after it. Shame doesn't make you fix the debt. Shame makes you hide the statement in a drawer and open a new credit card instead. Shame doesn't make you call the bank. Shame makes you avoid
the app entirely for months. Because looking at the number feels like admitting something about who you are, not just what you owe.
This is the cruelest of the 5 leaks, because it doesn't just cost you money,
It costs you information. You cannot fix a number you refuse to look at. You cannot solve a problem you've told yourself defines you. And so the debt grows quietly, in the dark, exactly where shame prefers to keep it. Because shame's entire survival depends on you never turning the light on. Think about the coworker of 20 years again. Reliable, respected, never late. Except now picture him at 58, still not opening the retirement statement his company mails him every quarter, because some part of him already knows what it says and would rather not know it officially. That's not laziness. That's shame, wearing the costume of, "I'll deal with it later," for 20 years running, until later becomes a retirement with nothing in it and a smile he has to fake at his own goodbye party. This is not weakness. This is not a character defect unique to you. This is the oldest trick emotion plays on judgment. It convinces you that avoiding the mirror is safer than facing it, when the truth is the opposite every single time. The sovereign does not hide from the state of his own kingdom, no matter how much of it is on fire. He walks the walls. He counts what's left. He knows exactly what he's working with. Because a kingdom you refuse to inspect is a kingdom you've already lost the ability to defend. Here's the move shame doesn't want you to make. You look. Today. Not when you feel ready. You will never feel ready. That's the entire design of the emotion. But today, at the actual number, with your actual name on it. The moment you look, shame loses its only weapon, which was always your refusal to see. A debt you're facing is a project. A debt you're hiding from is a curse. And curses like this one don't stay contained to you. They get inherited. The child who watches a parent flinch at the mailbox every day for 20 years learns something about money that has nothing to do with math and everything to do with fear. And they carry it into their own mailbox, decades later, without ever knowing where it came from. This is the beginning of the generational stakes we're about to walk into. Because I need you to understand something before we go further. The money habits killing you right now didn't start with you. And if you don't kill them here, they won't end with you either. Most people quit right before this part, not because it's harder to read, because it's harder to admit. If any part of the last 2 minutes described a mailbox you've been avoiding, or a balance you haven't opened in longer than you'd like to say, comment, "I looked," when you're ready to say it plainly to yourself, even if nobody else ever sees it. And subscribe, because what comes next is the one most people never let themselves think about until it's too late to change it. Phase 5, the psychology of comfort. This is the last one, and it is the quietest, and it is the one that kills the most people without ever raising its voice. Fear is loud. Envy is loud. Impatience is loud. Comfort makes no sound at all. It doesn't scream at you to sell in a panic or spend on a whim. It just whispers that you're fine. That today is not the day to start. That the plan can wait until next month, next year, after the holidays, after the raise, after things settle down. Things never settle down. Comfort is not a resting place. Comfort is the slowest form of bankruptcy ever invented, and it is the only one that feels like winning while it happens. Picture the parent who worked 40 years at the same job, showed up every single day, never missed a payment, never took a real risk, and
Retired with a pension check that barely covers the mortgage. and a look on their face at the retirement party that says they're doing the math for the first time in decades, and it isn't adding up. Nobody warned them. There was no crash, no scandal, no single bad decision you could point to. There was just comfort for 40 years, mistaken the entire time for safety. That is the Sunday night dread grown old. It doesn't go away when you finally stop working. It just changes its name to regret. Rome did not fall in a single battle. Rome fell slowly, softened by comfort, by luxury, by the quiet decision, generation after generation, that the hard things could be handled by somebody else, later. The empire didn't get invaded so much as it got tired. And tired empires and tired households fall the exact same way. Not with an explosion, but with a long, comfortable exhale that nobody notices happening. This is not about never resting. This is not about punishing yourself for wanting an easier life. This is about knowing the difference between rest you've earned and comfort you're hiding in. And now, finally, here is what I promised you at the start. There is one emotion the wealthy have learned to fake, and it is calm. Not the absence of fear, envy, impatience, shame, or comfort. Those live in them too, same as you. But the performance of stillness while everyone else in the room is reacting. The wealthy know that panic has a price, and someone is always willing to pay it. So they let the room panic, and they stay still. And in that stillness, they buy what the room is selling in fear. They negotiate with the person who needs the deal more than they do. They wait one more year while everyone else cashes out early. Calm isn't a feeling they have. It's a weapon they've practiced holding, in front of people who have never once learned to hold anything. You are not poor because of the economy. You are not poor because you weren't taught enough. You are not poor because you didn't work hard enough. You are, if you're honest, poor because somewhere along the way, one of these 5 feelings got to hold the pen instead of you. And it's been signing your name to decisions you never actually agreed to make. The version of you that flinches has to die today. Picture that version of you now, calm in the room where everyone else is checking their phone every 4 minutes. Quiet about the number in the account, because there's nothing left to prove and no audience left to perform for. Watching the panic of a downturn the way the wolf watches the sound in the grass. Not frozen, not thrilled, just informed. That person isn't colder because they stopped caring. They're calmer because they finally put the pen back in their own hand. There is a price for this, and nobody hands you the invoice up front. The price is isolation from the herd, because the herd will call your patience boring, your discipline extreme, your refusal to keep up with them a betrayal of the friendship. The price is silence when you want to explain yourself and nobody's actually asking. The price is killing the version of you that needed to be liked more than it needed to be free. The one that bought the least life, that sold at the bottom, that hid the mailbox, that called comfort a plan. That version of you does not get to come with you into what's next. It has to die today, on purpose, with your permission, not by accident under the weight of another bad year. What replaces it is not loud. It doesn't announce itself at dinner. It doesn't need you to know it's arrived. It just quietly stops flinching, one decision at a time, until one day you notice the Sunday night dread hasn't shown up in longer than you can remember. There's a deeper layer to all of this.
how the wealthy actually use other people's panic as their own entry.
Point. How the room's fear becomes someone else's price tag. And that's a conversation for when you've proven you can hold what we've already covered here. It's too sharp to hand out for free to a feed full of people still deciding whether any of this applies to them. But you're not most people watching this. You made it to the end. So comment, "I own my reactions," if you're done letting fear, envy, impatience, shame, or comfort sign your name to decisions that were never actually yours to give away. I want to see who's actually serious, not who just watched. And if any part of the last 25 minutes rearranged something in you, subscribe, not for the algorithm, for yourself, because the next one goes further than this one was allowed to. The version of you that flinches is gone. What's left is quieter, harder to move, and finally in control.